All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pierce of Mind podcast. I am Matt Pierce, and today I am joined by my two co-hosts, Kevin Tenney and Gary Black. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Gary, how are you doing?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. How is your Fortnite situation going? I've watched a couple of your videos.
What do you think?
You know, I think they're pretty good. The only suggestion I would make, and this is a completely like you thing because I'm just weird, you should like voice them over because I think that would be interesting. I do like whatever.
So the capabilities that I have, because I'm a console player, I'm not a PC player. The capabilities I have of doing the voiceover, I'm not streaming yet. I'm just taking clips, but that's definitely that's coming.
All right, that's good because I want to hear some Gary Black. I'm gonna
cussing out some 12-year-olds.
Yeah, I know that's what I would be doing. I would be just losing my mind on those kids.
There's going to be a lot of get out of my lobby, a lot of boom, things of that nature.
Yeah, exactly. I need to friend you. Has Trevor friended you yet?
No, not yet.
I said him. He's a high rolling 14-year-old. He's got like his whole team put together.
He doesn't need to hang out with the 33-year-old that plays Fortnite.
But he will. I guarantee he will because at some point his little friends won't be available. Like, oh, I remember I have Gary's connection.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, hey, what's up?
I actually just got back from the store because I went and got the kids their own Xbox because I'm sick of making my player look like a noob.
So
things of that nature.
Has Trevor friended you yet? Hold on, stand by. See, he's a high rolling 14-year-old. This is what we do here.
He doesn't need to hang out with.
That's what
it's not a what did we do here.
Yeah, no, it's totally 100% my fault. I take full responsibility.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is fail number 1 on the podcast. If you're keeping track at home.
Oh yeah, and there will be more. So like, don't be surprised when there are more fails because that's what I do here. I had an interesting day today. So I actually did a radio show. So I do the radio shows at school, but I did one today with Eric, which was interesting. I'm told we keep freezing up on the old Twitter, but that's okay. Sorry, not sorry. No, I am sorry. I'm trying. Like, here's what I need. At some point, like when I'm rich and famous or Kim has a job that makes us rich and famous, we need our own internet so I can hardwire in instead of going off the Wi-Fi because I think that's a lot of my issue is I'm in this house, which is an old house, and I'm very blessed to be here. But the Wi-Fi is upstairs, and we're downstairs, and it just doesn't come down here that well. So I think that's part of the problem for you guys watching us on. Thanks, Chris, by the way, on Twitter. So we are live everywhere now: Twitter, Facebook. Hi, Miranda. Thanks for watching. I think she just misses you, Kevin. I think she's like, I need to see the axe man. I'm so far away. How can I see his pretty bald head?
We talked like half an hour ago.
Well, she misses you. This is a kind of, I know you guys, the love is strong.
Here's what it is. Because she already told me, because she wanted you, her one friend, Trisha, that she's staying at, was, she told her that we do a podcast, and they all thought it was hilarious. So they wanted to watch. So that's why she's on tonight. Oh. So they're all probably just sitting around laughing right now.
So now we're being judged? Is that what you're telling me?
Extremely.
That's ridiculous.
Just say.
I get judged enough in my day-to-day life that I don't need the Margarita Diva and this Trisha girl judging me even more. Anyhow, let's get into some sports. So, Russell Westbrook, the end of the NBA season just happened, and so Russell Westbrook pulled down 16 rebounds in his last game, and that gave him another back-to-back season where he averaged triple doubles. I think just from like a player deal, I think it's awesome to see him accomplish that. First time it's ever been done. But now there's these people talking that he should be the MVP, and I've heard weeks and weeks now, everybody's talking about like Harden's definitely the MVP, so-and-so should be in the hunt, LeBron should be in the conversation. So I wanted to ask you guys, Gary, what do you think? Like, what is that actual MVP? Because I think right now they're going by like your numbers. They're not actually going by the best player or the most important player to a team.
You know, I don't know. It just with each sport, I think it's a little bit different. I feel like if it has a bunch of criteria, so I think statistics are very important. But I also think you have to take a look at the team. So if that player were removed from the team, are they even close to the same situation that they're currently sitting in? Averaging a triple-double 2 years in a row is really, really cool, but what's he doing with it? Like, is Oklahoma City really going to get that far in the playoffs? I mean, if you're – Michael Jordan had outstanding statistical seasons, but he backed it up with championships. He also had a really great team all the way around him, but a better team than he got credit for anyway. And Russell Westbrook doesn't necessarily have that. I don't know. I'm indifferent, really. I think you have to look at each individual situation. I think there's a legitimate case for Westbrook, for Harden, and for LeBron, in my opinion.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree with Gary that it's so hard because they try to give you, for so many years, they'd always try to give you, this is what the MVP is. But then it's like, because it used to be the longest time the most important for the team, so it's like, but if you would do that every year LeBron's been in Cleveland, I mean, he should win the MVP, because if he's not on Cleveland, they're a 15 win, maybe 20 win team.
Yeah, they're bad.
So I mean, that right there. So I mean, you don't want to give it to LeBron for however long he's been in the league, minus the 4 years he was in Miami, and I think he won it once or twice there, at least once, I think.
I think
so.
Twice. I think
it's hard to tell. Like I agree. I think Westbrook, that is a big thing, but yeah, how far are they going to go in the playoffs? Because it's always a playoff team. You don't ever see whoever from a team that's not going to make the playoffs win an MVP. So
yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like I think stats are important. Like I think it's awesome that he got a triple-double back-to-back. I'm not sure there's another guy who's going to do that. That's hard to do. I give him all the props in the world. But for me, like when I think MVP, I think Gary, you talked a little bit about it. If I pull this guy off this roster, what is that team then going to be? And yeah, I'm going to sound like a homer here, but LeBron, there's like, especially this year, like he has probably had statistically, if not the best, one of the best years of his entire career. And if you pull him off that Cavs team, then they don't even make the playoffs. Where I think if you pull Westbrook off the Thunder, they still can sneak into the playoffs with Paul George and Melo. Harden, you pull him off the Rockets, and again, I think they got CP3 and other players who they might not be as high ranked, but I still think they're playoff teams. And I also think it's a lot about like just pure leadership, and I think LeBron's probably one of the best leaders in basketball right now.
So you ask yourself this question too: if this player got hurt and you didn't see them on a regular basis, what impact would they have on the NBA as a whole? Because that's really what we're talking about here. It's not just most valuable player to their team, because all three of those guys are that, but it's most valuable player to the league. And who brings more notoriety to the NBA right now than LeBron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, depending on your circle, Russell Westbrook is up there. So I think, honestly, if you told me that Russell Westbrook won the MVP this year, I'm not going to be upset by it.
See, I think I'd be a little bothered.
The Cleveland fan in me would be pissed.
I think it's, you almost get punished, especially in the NBA. Maybe not in every other league. I think the NFL's terrible because it's a statistical thing for them. Like it's
quarterback.
Yeah, and it's almost always a quarterback. Like
I think a linebacker should win MVP one time. One time.
I'll argue that even like a guy like Joe Thomas. I'm not saying Joe Thomas should be an MVP. Kevin, calm down. But I'm saying a guy like Joe Thomas, who if you're quarterback, like think about his rookie year, he only allowed a half a sack his entire rookie year. Like your
offensive lineman will never win MVP.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's a farce. Like I just wish they would. I wish they should just change the name then. Like because a lot of these times the quarterbacks aren't the most valuable player. They just have great numbers that year.
It's MPP, most popular player.
There you go.
And that's it. It's whoever you see the most. It seems like whoever you see the most on TV commercials that year is who they're going with. Everywhere. It's the face of the franchise.
So what was it, 4 seasons ago when J.J. Watt had all those touchdowns and an insane amount of sacks and everything like that? J.J. Watt, in my opinion, that year was the MVP of the NFL, period.
Oh, yeah.
Just period. And the fact that he didn't win it, It's a joke, and I think that applies to all sports.
No, I agree.
Do
Hey,
you remember who he lost to? Was it Brady?
It was either Brady or Rodgers.
yeah, I think it was.
Might have been Rodgers that year.
Hey, Gary, can you turn your mic down just a smidge?
I don't know if I can.
Well, we'll look at it. If you can't, no worries. I'll figure it out in post. But
How about that?
that's better. You were like coming
Okay.
through super hot. Just because you got such an amazing voice, I think.
Well, I mean, it does carry.
So here's a conversation that I know Kevin's going to love with the Seattle Seahawks, and they canceled a meeting with Cap this week because he wouldn't agree that he's not going to kneel. Oh, what's that face for, Gary? It's too interesting. But I think this just helps his collusion case. And then they did go sign some other scrub to be in their quarterback room. What do you guys think? Is he ever going to get a legitimate chance? I know Kevin hates his guts.
Go ahead, Kevin.
All right. I don't think he'll ever get a chance unless, like Seattle, they wanted him to say he wasn't going to kneel for the anthem. And, if he wants to do it, whatever. But no one's going to bring him in because they don't want the extra scrutiny because of it. So until he says that he's going to stand for the national anthem, he's never going to get a legit shot at coming back in. That's the way I feel. I mean, that's how it seemed the last year and going to go on 2 years now.
Yeah, so Colin Kaepernick should be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos or the New York Jets right now. Should absolutely be. Matt, you're right. I think that this does feed into his collusion case, but I also believe that the Seattle Seahawks were not wrong with how they handled it. They're okay with – I think it's a good thing that they asked. They don't want the drama that is associated with him kneeling during the national anthem. That is, as long as they're up front with it and they're telling him, listen, I want you on the roster, but if you're not going to stand for the anthem, we're not going to put you on the team. I'm okay with that. But if they're just blackballing him and just nobody's talking to him, nobody's telling him what's going on, that's what I have a problem with.
This frustrates me because I almost agree with you that I think they've probably handled it the best so far of the teams.
Yeah, they were on Front Street. They just straight up said it.
But I think it does. I think he's going to get a payout. I think they're going to, at minimum, the NFL is going to have to settle this case because time after time it's going back to that. Which him kneeling. Which here's what sucks: is him kneeling is A, it's not against any rule. B, he's not like. You have all these guys like the dude from San Francisco who's probably going to spend some real time in prison, that Reuben Foster guy. Like, you got all these like real serious criminals in the league doing real seriously bad things, and all this dude was kneel, and he didn't even. And this is why my argument keeps coming up is because this guy never, he didn't bring it up. Like, the press brought it up. Like, he was simply just doing it on his own without looking for attention. And someone mentioned it to the press, and the press made a big deal about it.
Well, Matt, I don't know about that. I think I disagree with you there because I've read articles where it wasn't even his idea to start doing it in the first place. So whether he brought it up, he knew it was going to become a topic. And that's fine because he was trying to shed some light on a very serious subject to him. And again, I'm okay with that. But now it's reached its pinnacle, and it's preventing him from getting a job. And I think he needs to find another way to protest that same injustice that he's all for, but pick a different avenue. He's made millions of dollars, guys. Let's not make any mistakes and try to paint this like the dude's going broke. But you do what you have to do to pay the bills, and you also stand up for what you believe in. Because the NFL is not the problem with his stance. That's not what's causing the problems in America and what his concerns are. So he made his point. He got his notoriety. Now take your protest somewhere else and continue to fight the good fight.
Yeah.
But pay the bills.
Yeah. And Matt, you saying that he's going to get a payout. I don't see him getting a payout because unless they get proof of an email from an owner to another owner or someone in the league office to an owner saying, do not sign him, you have nothing because all you got to do is you got Seattle who was upfront about it. Well, we're not going to sign him because of that. That's one team. And the other team can sit there and say, well, we thought that Joe Smith that was bagging groceries was a better quarterback. You can't prove collusion by any of that stuff unless you have hard proof that they were told not to sign him. And it's like
I think to Matt's point, it's going to be a settlement so that it becomes a non-issue.
Yeah.
It's not that he's got evidence of it; they just want it to go away.
Yeah.
I understand that side of it too, but I just think as much as has been going on, I don't know. I don't think they'll, because even if they pay out, you're still going to hear about it. Every time that he's skipped over and someone talks to him like Seattle and then doesn't do it, it's going to be brought up every time. So no matter what, you're not going to get away from this.
I'm still genuinely annoyed that he's not on a roster and RG3 is. That's a problem. That is a problem.
Especially that it was Baltimore, who was kind of interested in him last year until the owner said no, or Ozzie Smith or Ozzie Newsome said no. Whichever one it was said
I think it was
no.
the owner.
So, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, everyone's like, and I agree, he's in the NFL. Use your platform for your, protester. I can't think of the word. Whatever's close, whatever means.
I mean, he's essentially fighting for cultural injustice. So,
yeah,
put a T-shirt on.
When it comes to it, like, it's your job. Do it outside. Like, you have the NFL, use the NFL, but don't do it in the middle of a game, obviously, whenever it's doing what it's doing. So let me refresh that. People being upset about it. I don't want to sound like.
So it causes great conflict because I've had a Twitter war all week over it since I think RG3. I mentioned something on Twitter after RG3 got signed, and now I've been in like this Twitter conversation all week because of it. And the sad thing is,
trolls.
If you look up, oh yeah, absolutely. If you look up his numbers just from his last season where he played, I'm not overall. I looked him up because I didn't want to be talking out of my ass. His last season, he played in 12 games. He had 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and 500 yards rushing, with 2 fumbles.
What's his completion percentage? Do you know?
Is just shy of 60%. It was 59.7.
Okay, well, what was the win-loss record?
Them as a team was 6-12 that year. But here's the thing: that team, you go back to that team, they had a shitty coach. The team around him wasn't that good, and everyone says he got beat out by Blaine Gabbert. He only got beat out by Blaine Gabbert because he was injured for a chunk, and then eventually he got his job back, and he had played pretty damn well. So,
well, they had people retiring at that time. I mean, they had a lot of issues on that team.
I think that's my biggest frustration is everyone throws these arguments that he's not a good football player, and I'm not saying he's Tom Brady or he's the next great thing, but his numbers just from the last year he played compared to just about, I think one guy on Twitter brought it up that if you put his numbers from the last year he played into against last season starting 32 quarterbacks, he would be in the middle of the pack. So
what's wrong with that?
I just hate. So I guess what frustrates me and why I keep even bringing this up is people keep using the argument that he's just not a good ball player or he doesn't have talent, and that's where I get frustrated because if you want to say he's the distraction, Kevin, I know we've had this conversation or a lot of other things. I can accept that, and I wish the league would just be upfront about it. But don't tell me he's not a good ball player. He doesn't have a skill set that is at least level to majority of the backups, if not them all, and some of the starters.
They had a solid football team, not a great football team, a solid football team, and he played in the Super Bowl, guys.
Yeah, well,
he didn't do it by himself, but he was good enough.
There.
What's that, Gary? I mean, Kevin.
Alex Smith got him 3/4 of the way there.
I would argue that Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick are not that different.
I don't know about that one, but
look at Alex Smith's career. I mean,
Kaepernick's more of he's got the run. That's the big difference between those two, in my opinion. Kaepernick can pull down the ball and run and actually outrun people. Alex
Smith can too. He just chooses not to.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not. He doesn't have the speed like Kaepernick.
No. He doesn't have Kaepernick's speed. But if you watch his Utah film, that dude was a running quarterback.
Yeah, in Utah, but I mean, he was never really a big running quarterback. And I think that's the biggest thing that helped them when he took over, because if you look at any of those, except for Russell Wilson, because he has made the change where he throws majority and runs when he has to. But when you look at like a Kaepernick and RG3, it always seems like when those kind of guys come in, they always, for whatever reason, catch the other teams off guard because it's always a different type of runner than the last running quarterback. And it just seems like once they figure them out, they're not as good as they were when they first came in.
It's a longevity thing. Those guys can't keep getting hit like that and last. That's why RG3's in the spot that he's in, because RG3 has arm talent and he actually can read a defense. He's frail. He's fragile.
And he can run.
Yeah, he does like to run. Marcus Mariota, on the other hand, he does take off and run. He does his fair share. But the one thing I like about Marcus is his eyes are always downfield. A lot more of these running quarterbacks are coming in with that trait. They're looking downfield.
Yeah. Mariota, I like him, but he's got to he's starting to get those injuries already his first couple of years. So it's like he's got to be smarter about it or he's going to turn into the next RG3.
Yeah.
Hey, I think that Trisha chick just friended me.
Yeah, she Miranda said she was going to. She told me to tell you
I'm making friends every day. That's what I do. I'm super popular. Maybe that's someone else I can argue with.
I'm back on the phone tonight, guys, so I can't see the social media stuff.
And maybe that's what's up. But where's your laptop?
Yeah, I took it back and went and got the kids an Xbox and some other stuff instead.
You fool. Maybe that's why you're coming through so hot. That might be it.
Might be.
Oh, take that damn Xbox back now.
No, my brother's building my PC, so I'm going to have that with a webcam.
That'll work. And then you can Fortnite on that thing.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Cap ends up anywhere this year.
He won't.
Yeah, sadly, I don't think he will.
I'd be really shocked. I think Manziel has a better chance, and that says a lot.
I think
Johnny Manziel will be on an NFL team by the end of preseason.
Shout out to my
simply because of injuries.
I want to shout out to Dan Baum on Facebook, who created our soundboard and is going to tutor me today. So much love. Yeah, Manziel though will definitely be on a roster. Although he can't keep his mouth shut, as we talked about last week, those 2 games he played in that league, like what, three passing touchdowns, at least 2 rushing touchdowns, seemed to look pretty good. He'll be on somebody's at least practice squad before.
Oh, that league's already started?
It's over. It's come and went.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I believe it's over.
Hey, I didn't even see anything.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah, I just seen stuff on ESPN on my app about Manziel runs for 2 touchdowns, or Manziel, the first game he passed for 3 TDs. I think he did enough to at least get someone to look at him for.
He's got film now.
Yeah, and so if he could just keep his mouth shut, he should be on a roster this time next come preseason and whatnot.
Somebody's going to sign him, whether he keeps his mouth shut or not, as long as he stays clean, because he's polarizing when he runs his mouth.
Yeah. How about the latest, hottest free agent, Dez Bryant, cut by the Cowboys?
Oh,
today?
My gosh.
Where's he going to end up?
I don't know, but it's one of those. It's like you've been hearing about it for the last 2 months, but it was like you just figured it was the Cowboys being the Cowboys, but
I never thought it'd happen.
Yeah. So I don't know. Can you imagine San Francisco bringing him in? The way they were playing at the end of the year, you get a big receiver like that in there for Garoppolo.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked a little bit to Eric about this on our radio show today that we did together. And he had mentioned that, like, if Cleveland could get him dirt cheap, if I'd be interested, and I would, because if it's cheap enough, I would. But I don't think it's going to happen. But I did on the way home. I thought the Niners would be scary with that guy.
I have a dark horse. I don't know why I feel this way. I think Dez Bryant is going to be wearing lightning bolts on his helmet next year.
Chargers?
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. I just got this gut feel that they're gonna grab him up and they're gonna bring him in.
What about the New York Giants?
Man, can you imagine Odell Beckham Jr. and him in the same locker room? I don't think that works.
Yeah, I could see a fight breaking out there.
Stays in the NFC East where he can play the Cowboys twice a year, and
I could see him trying to stay in the East though, just so he can go against the Cowboys.
Or Washington. They're desperate for talent.
listen, the other team that just signed their quarterback back and has let a couple of their wide receivers walk is Jacksonville.
Yeah, and they need all. And again, if he could get back to just a semblance of what he was,
I don't think he was that far off this past season, though.
He would help Blake Bortles a lot. I just don't think he gave 100% on every play. I think he took plays off his problem more than anything.
That might be true.
He has Randy Moss-itis.
Hey, Randy Moss is headed to the Hall, so.
I know, but
worst thing you could be compared to.
You could easily tell when Moss was playing and when he wasn't playing.
Sure, but I'm saying there's worse things you could be compared to.
I wouldn't say. I'm just saying he had the Moss thing where, instead of paying attention, you're clipping your fingernails on the sideline or.
Randy Moss would be the first one to tell you that he took plays off too, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there
he even said that's how he didn't want to be in Oakland anymore. So that's how he got out of Oakland. Well, that sucked for him because he got traded to New England.
So
that was a terrible thing for him.
On Facebook, we got Dan Baum saying that how about Dez Bryant to the Patriots?
Dan, I was actually just thinking that in the back of my head.
I hope not.
Can Belichick and Brady get him in line? Because that would be scary.
I think they absolutely could.
Yeah, Belichick has that power. Like even Moss, the first 2 years he was there.
You didn't hear nothing from him.
Yeah. And then when they sat there and decided they weren't going to give him a contract extension or whatever, then Moss started going Moss, and they didn't hesitate. They traded him to Minnesota, I think.
I can tell you this much, that if they do go after Dez, if it's even on their radar, Gronk is not a Patriot next year.
Why? Why not? Why wouldn't you want both those weapons? Or do you just think
they're already talking about trading him now?
Yeah.
Would you rather have? That's a good question. Would you rather have Dez Bryant or Gronk?
Who gets hurt less?
Oh, then I want Bryant because
exactly
hurt every year.
But exactly. I don't think it's a question. I don't even think it's a question. If you just look at the Patriots can win without Gronk. They've proven that, but their winning percentage is significantly better when he's on the field. He's just not on the field.
Yeah.
No.
Not enough to warrant the money he's making.
That's fair. I can't even argue. I want to argue with you, but I can't. Like, that is a fair 100% point. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I couldn't believe they cut him, honestly. I thought they at least try to trade him because I think a desperate team is be willing to give up like a 5th or 6th round pick and just eat the cap space for a year. If they're like, honestly, like, look at the Rams. Like, they're doing all kinds of random shit, just getting these 1 year guys. Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if I'd have heard the Rams gave a 7th round pick and 8, just to eat his contract for the year and line him up with everybody else they got.
Here's the thing. I think Dez truly does end up on the West Coast somewhere. That's just the vibe that I got. Niners wouldn't surprise me. I don't know why I feel like the Chargers is something that can happen. I just do. And you also got the Raiders. These are all possibilities, and I think that it's...
I don't think Gruden likes his attitude. That's the only reason I heard someone else say the Raiders today, and I couldn't get into it because I don't think Gruden wants that attitude in his locker room. Not the first year back.
Sure. I can't say that I disagree with that. It's just I don't see Dez going cold weather.
What about?
I think if he's got his choice, he's going to stay warm weather.
What about the ultimate players coach, Seattle Seahawks? Pete Carroll let him do whatever he wants as long as he's producing.
That might be part of the problem, but yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, Dallas really honed him in because you remember he came into the league with a lot of concern about, like, who he was hanging out with off the field, some shit he done off the field. Like, a lot of people had issues with that, and they built a whole team. Like, they actually gave, like, basically a team of babysitters to kind of keep him on the straight and narrow for the first 2 years before he kind of figured out what the hell it's like to be a pro.
The Dallas Cowboys still have that person on the payroll.
Well, not anymore, I can't imagine. Because they don't need him now.
Fair.
That guy just lost the easiest job of his life.
Right.
Hey, maybe it's a package deal. Maybe Dez likes them.
He's probably on Dez's payroll now.
Listen, if you sign me, you sign my babysitter. That's all there is to it.
This isn't even up for negotiation.
I thank the NFL because just when I'm like, oh, okay, there's not a whole lot of new stuff going on this week in the league. Jerry Jones.
The Cowboys are like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's put the NFL back in the papers. Let's cut Dez.
Cap comes back up, and a couple days later, like, oh, let's just cut Dez. It's Friday. Let's make it for a fun weekend. It's brilliant.
I don't know, man. It is brilliant. It is brilliant. You know, you thought the Cleveland Browns signing, closing in on that deal with Landry was going to be big news, but I don't know. It didn't make as big of a splash as I thought it would.
So it's funny because here Eric was saying that he thought, and I don't disagree with him actually, that they overpaid him. I do think they overpaid him, but I don't think they had a choice. I don't think you're going to sign. I don't think a guy of that quality is going to choose to sign with the Browns right now because we've sucked so bad for so long. Like, you had to give him.
Somebody do the breakdown for me. What's his actual annual salary?
15.
What were they paying Kenny Britt last year? Because I already know the answer.
I don't know. What was it?
15.
Well, yeah, that's a hell of a trade-off if you ask me.
We did not overpay.
Well, no, I think we did overpay because I think no receiver's worth 15 right now. Maybe Antonio Brown.
Dwayne Bowe was making 13.
Okay, but to me, like, and that's fine. Like, but to me, like, I think the top tier receivers are in that 13 to 14. When I hear 15, that goes, okay, this guy probably really doesn't want to be in Cleveland. And if he does, great. But I'm just saying, thinking from a fan's perspective, like, okay, this guy, we're going to have to give him some extra money because there's no real way he's going to sign long-term with us.
Okay, yeah, so no, that's valid. But at the same time, the only thing that Jarvis has done is shown how excited that he actually is to be a member of the Cleveland Browns. So props to him for that. Whether he actually believes it or not, I don't know, and I don't care. But he's the fans believe that he is, and that's probably the most important thing. Yeah, you're right. You're going to have to pay a little bit more because you are the Cleveland Browns. You don't have a consistent quarterback. You're off. You didn't win a single game last year. So, yeah. But at the same time, you're paying the number one slot wide receiver in the NFL and the only guy to have over 100 catches for the last 4 years. As long as that production even stays close to that, I don't know that it was a waste of money.
Here's the thing. Don't let me Kevin, I definitely want to see your opinion on this, but I have no problem with what they did. I think it makes all the sense in the world. So by no means do I think it was bad that they gave him a little bit of extra cash. Like, I think they did what they had, and I think pairing him up with, I think he got paired up with the best quarterback he could be paired up with because Landry loves those short routes. He loves those. That's kind of what he does. So you give him a guy, you got a guy who's probably going to try to get him the ball a lot and let him get a lot of yards after the catch. I think it's a match made in heaven. What do you think, Kevin?
Just for the Browns' track record on the last couple wide receivers they overpaid, I would have waited. I'd have tried to work something out with them, being like, give us a couple games to see, because they overpaid Kenny Britt, and from game one, you could see that he just wanted the money because he wasn't catching anything.
I hated the signing the minute they did it.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a good signing, but I mean, it just seemed like he didn't want to be there. I mean, he wasn't that good of a receiver in the first place, because even when he went to New England, he didn't do anything. And
that's the only thing.
So,
go ahead.
The same thing with Bo. Bo made it to the field twice where he was active or something. Like, it was something ridiculous where he wasn't even dressing or wasn't even playing.
He had a shit attitude, I hear. He was terrible in the locker room.
Yeah, so I mean, they overpaid, but let's see how bad of an overpay it is. Because I mean, if he comes out and he has a heck of a year, I mean, all right, you overpaid, big deal. But I mean, as long as you're getting what you're paying out of it, I guess.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know. Gary's talking to somebody. I see it.
Troy,
you can't fake it here. You're live, buddy. No, no. I think, and the difference between all this is, out of those three guys, like, Landry's legit. Like, Britt, Bo, they're both past their prime. They're both on the backside, going downhill. Where this guy is still in his prime, and he's yardage wise and his numbers, he's one of the top, 2 or 3 guys in the game. So that's where, to me, that's the only big difference. Is like the other two were just terrible signings. Like, this guy actually has the numbers to back up. Even
and so this is also his second contract too, guys, and their second contract is always inflated, especially if you performed in your rookie contract. So
Yeah.
I don't disagree that we overpaid. Eric isn't wrong in that sense, but it was what we needed to do. The only thing that makes me nervous is that I personally think they need to get a deal done with Josh Gordon that's incentive based this offseason so that if he does get suspended again, they're protected. But if they don't and they wait till the offseason, they've just set the market for Josh Gordon because you will not be able to pay him less than you're paying Jarvis Landry.
Well, that's fine. You slap the franchise tag on him and go on your way.
But, and then with Landry, the one good thing about the signing is you know that he can produce with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
True that.
He ain't lying.
So that's good for Cleveland.
Yeah, I'll take Tyrod Taylor over Ryan Tannehill any day of the week.
Here's the thing. I keep that, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but I just don't think Tyrod Taylor is a bad quarterback.
No, I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying Tannehill's not a good quarterback. Cutler's not a good quarterback anymore. So I'm just saying when the Browns decide and they screw up the draft and they take Darnold number 1 and he's not being that good of a quarterback and he's out there playing in week 3 because Tyrod, had like 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and he's just not performing. So when you have a shitty quarterback out there, Landry's going to at least try to catch the ball.
Yeah. No, you're right. And God, please, I think they're going to sign. I think they're going to take Sam Darnold.
Oh, yeah.
But please, baby Jesus, don't let them do it. Me and Eric got in this argument today over Josh Rosen. Because I think Josh Rosen is an entitled piece of crap. And he seems to think that Josh Rosen is like the next big thing.
Okay, so here's a problem that I have 2 problems real quick. I'm going to vent a little bit, and I hope Eric's listening.
Oh, he is.
Eric has bounced from quarterback to quarterback since we've started having this conversation. If you guys remember correctly, Josh Allen was the second coming. Then he kind of liked Baker, and now Josh Rosen is the second coming. Listen, make up your mind, bro. Get on a horse and stick with it. That's all I'm saying. All right, second. I have massive issues with Josh Rosen. It has nothing to do with the fact that I also believe he's an entitled piece of crap. It has everything to do with that dude can't stay on the football field against Pac-12 defenses.
Yeah.
He's getting concussions and ankle injuries from Pac-12 defenses. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pac-12 is not what it once was. Their defenses are not these lights-out defenses like they used to be. If Josh Rosen were playing in the Big Ten, he'd probably be a cripple.
He definitely wouldn't be a talk of a top 5 quarterback.
No.
Yeah, no. He's entitled. Like, he's so prima donna. I don't want him at all. I think he is going to be a bust. And the sad thing is, I think he actually is a talented quarterback, but I think he just believes too much in himself, in his own hype, that it's going to be his downfall in the league. It's not going to be the fact that he lacks the actual talent to throw a damn football, but he way too egotistical, and he's going to take a hit from one of these real linebackers in the league, and he's going to be out. He's going to miss a bunch of games.
He is the most ready to throw a football in the NFL right now, without question. I don't even know that you can debate that.
I don't.
However, the first time he gets hit in the mouth by Terrell Suggs, or I'm just trying to think of J.J. Watt, Clay Matthews. The first time they get an open field shot on that dude, he's going to break a collarbone. Or his leg's going to fall off. I don't know.
No, those that's all true, man. I'm totally on base with you guys. I don't know. It'll be interesting where that all falls because like the tea leaves are saying that we're going to take Darnold, and I just think it's a huge mistake.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still on the Baker Mayfield wagon. I'm not going to deviate from that. I love that dude. He's going to be a winner. I think Cleveland might just shock the world, and it might be potential over anything else. And it might be Josh Allen, number 1 overall.
Don't do it, Cleveland.
I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying I think that, man, did you see what that dude did in his pro day?
No,
I mean,
I watched his whole pro day.
Damn.
He's got an arm. But here's what I'm telling you. I want a guy who isn't going to take 2 or 3 years to get ready. If I wanted to wait, I would have just kept DeShone Kizer. I want a guy like I could put if Landry goes down, I want a guy, and I know we're not going to be super successful, but I want a guy that I feel confident in that he could carry my team and the team could get behind him right now, and that guy 100% is Baker Mayfield.
Well, Baker Mayfield, coincidentally enough, guys,
agreed
is
with
also
me
the
on
most
something.
accurate quarterback in college football last year too. So
Kevin agreed with me. I seen him shake his head.
Hey, I've been a Baker Mayfield fan since day one. I don't want him going to Cleveland because I don't want to take that chance of his career being ruined. Just past history, but I think that's the quarterback they need, though.
Oh, it might not be the quarterback that we want, but it is the quarterback that we need.
I'm hoping.
I think he is.
I'm hoping that he is the Mitchell Trubisky effect. That he, like out of nowhere, they take him. You know, everyone thought Trubisky was going to be there at like 12 for us, and out of nowhere, Chicago moves up. But we don't even have to move up; we just take him.
Yeah.
If he's the guy, I don't care if you're at 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. If he's the guy and he's there, you pull the trigger.
No, I don't.
You just do.
And the bad thing is, though, do you take him 1 or do you hope?
Yeah, no, absolutely take him 1. If he's the guy, you take him 1.
Yeah, I've been torn on this for a while, and I keep going back and forth in my own.
It's only $6 million.
But it's not even the money. I'm not worried about the money. I care less about that. My whole thing is Saquon going to be there at 4?
Yeah, that's my thing, because I think Barkley, because I'm still stuck with taking Barkley 1, but it's just like, because you do that, you figure the Giants, there's been talk about them liking Darnold. So, I mean, you take him, then the Jets are definitely taking a quarterback.
And they
So
seem
it's
to
like-
love Baker
Huh?
Mayfield. They seem to love Baker Mayfield.
That's what I heard. No, that's the scary thing. It's like, which one do you take a chance on hoping's there at 4?
Here's the thing. Everything that I've read shows that if Darnold is there when the Giants draft, they're drafting. They're taking Darnold. They love this kid. If he's not there, they're trading out, and they're trading out to a team that wants a quarterback. Denver Broncos or Buffalo Bills. I think Buffalo moves. They're the ones who come up and gets their quarterback. But again, I can't state it enough. If Baker's your guy, you pull the trigger, you just get him, and it's final. And I'm telling you, no matter what happens, Barkley is still there at 4.
See, I agree with Kevin, though. I don't know he gets past the Jets. And here's the thing. I have no problem leaving Barkley on the I'm saying, yes, you're talking about Barkley who's going to be there at 4.
He will be there at 4.
If New York, here's the thing. If New York doesn't take him, that's why I kind of want, here's what makes me happy. If New York would just trade out of that damn pick, because no one's moving up to 2 to take Barkley. If you're moving up to 2, there's a quarterback you want. And at that point, then I absolutely take Mayfield at 1 because I know Barkley's going to be there for guarantee, because we all know that 3 and the Jets are going to take a quarterback, right? So my only concern is I think New York's going to take the lineman out of Notre Dame, and I think that's honestly the best move for them. But if they don't do that and they need to move out and make me happy. Because whoever moves into 2 is just taking a quarterback.
But Buffalo's coming up, guys. If Darnold is not on the board, or if Darnold is on the board, the Giants are taking him. If he's not on the board, the Buffalo Bills are coming up to 2.
Great, let them take it. I don't care. They're not taking Barkley.
Work out for them, because like if the Browns make it to 4, Barkley's still there, and Denver or Buffalo didn't move up, you can easily trade with one of those 2 teams to move back because they're both taking quarterbacks.
Well, here's the thing. We would have to have picked somebody other than a quarterback with our first pick for that pick to have any leverage. Like, Denver knows that if we take Baker or whoever at number 1, we're not going to take another one at 4. So whatever quarterback is there when we draft is still going to be there when they draft.
True. Didn't think of that. So then you'd have, if Buffalo doesn't move, you have Buffalo.
Yes, you could make the case with Buffalo to go back to 7, I think they're at, something like that.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be interesting.
I still think the Steelers are going to make a splash that nobody's going to see coming when they draft.
What, you think they're going to take Lamar Jackson?
No.
Or do you think
They're going Mason? They're going Rudolph. They're going quarterback, and they're going Rudolph.
Rudolph would be a good pick for the Steelers, actually.
Yeah.
And I think they wait for the second round to get their linebacker, because linebacker's actually not a terrible draft class this year.
The Axeman isn't loving that decision.
Oh, I know he's not.
Like, I know. Like, I've been seeing a lot more about Rudolph. I don't know. I'm iffy on him because being for West Virginia, I've seen him play this year and I think last year. So I mean, he's got moments where he looks really good. So But I know they need a quarterback. They're taking a quarterback this year, so
He's better. The only thing with Mason, Kevin, to remember is that Josh Webb, I wouldn't rule him out yet, but Mason Rudolph now is better than Landry.
oh well, shit. I can't stand Landry.
And you put him behind Ben for a season. That's not a bad thing.
Because that's the thing. Like they drafted Dobbs out of Tennessee last year.
That's what I meant. Dobbs. That's my fault. Dobbs. That's who I meant.
Oh, okay, and see, I like him, and I know I don't really see him as the guy taking over. But if something would happen, but they love freaking Landry Jones for some reason. I can't figure it out for the life of me, but they love him.
There's a gesture that I want to make right now that's not PG-13 that would suggest why Landry still has a job, but I won't.
I didn't know we were PG-13
Oh,
show.
that's probably the only thing he's good at then, because he's still fucking there.
That's the same thing Bill Cowher did in the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. That got
Well, he choked on his, though.
that's the only way they won that game.
Because your team can't make the playoffs, Matt. Don't be mad. My team's won 2 Super Bowls.
Hey, and one of those was a really good game that I give you guys all the credit for. The other one was the worst officiated game in NFL history, quite possibly.
That was pretty rough.
Calls. I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course they were. That's like if Cleveland had won a playoff game against Pittsburgh and literally Hugh Jackson was on his knees at the 50-yard line, I would still be like, oh, those calls are all legit. They're all legit. Oh, just ignore what Hughes got on his face. Those were legit calls. Yeah, exactly, Gary. Those calls were legit. Anyhow, so a couple more things I have. There's this thing called Mayo Up that Heinz is trying to pull out. Gary, you know this. It's basically fry sauce that they're trying.
Oh, okay.
That they're trying to like. Oh, this is new huge thing. It's pissing me off because Heinz, this is not new. You got to give Utah credit for something. That was out here when I moved out here 12 years ago. That shit's awesome. First off, you should hope it comes out.
Where's the burger place you did it first out there? Why can't I think of it?
Maybe Lucky 13's, but I don't know right offhand. All I know is it's all over now, and it is amazing. And like I remember when my niece and nephew were out here with my mom a couple weeks ago, they had it. We went to Iggy's, and they're like, "Oh my god, what is this?" And then now I'm starting to see. Actually, when I seen this stuff pop up on Twitter, how that Heinz is like taking a vote, I was like, "Did my cousin just get rich off my own idea here? He go back to Ohio and try to get loaded?" But yeah, so now Heinz is trying to like think like. Hey, I think they should do it. You guys will love it. Kevin, if you've never had it, it's amazing.
I've seen you make it when we went out to eat, so I'm good.
Dude, it's amazing.
And besides, it's just mayonnaise and ketchup.
No, it's not. That's how I do it because it's like a quick, like generic way. But like if you put a little barbecue sauce in there, like a lot of places do, and some seasoning, makes your fries so much better.
It is really, really good.
It is quite possibly my second favorite thing. Besides my wife, I love you, baby. That I have found here in Utah since moving here, it makes everything better. So yeah, that'd be interesting. Did want to talk a little bit about last weekend. I know you guys are gonna be super excited about this. Ronda Rousey made her WWE debut, and
Woo!
I watched WrestleMania every year, and so pause for people laughing at me right now. But honestly, I had low standards for her to be a success in the WWE, her first match. And she knocked it out of the freaking ballpark. Like, it was probably, out of all of WrestleMania, which was honestly kind of down for the year, it was probably the best match on the show. And she was way more involved than I thought. And she was actually really good at what she was doing. So I get what it is. It is what it is, where it's, staged or whatever, and we know the outcomes, but I think she did a hell of a job, and I think she's going to make a ton of money moving forward.
I mean,
listen, she was going to make a ton of money no matter what because she's better looking than China, and China made a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
Past tense. Rest in peace, China. Woo! I don't know. My female celebrity crush is Ronda Rousey, so I'm gonna think she's good at no matter what she does, and good for her. I haven't seen any of the footage, so If you say it was good, Matt, then I'm excited for her.
I saw some of the footage, but I mean, I just expected her the way she trains. Like, I knew she wasn't going to slack at it, but I mean, I didn't really like her in UFC. I thought she was overrated, but at least in WWE, you don't have to worry about her losing her mind and talk about killing herself and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and,
I definitely hope she has a therapist.
Nah, I don't think she
I've
does.
watched some of her interviews, and they are like, trust me, I go to therapy every week. I deal with the depression stuff, and this chick, I pray to God she goes to a therapist because she might end up like we're gonna like see her one of these, true Hollywood stories where she like we find her somewhere in a bathroom or something because she just can't take it. But that being
Well,
said,
she loses in WWE.
but she's gonna lose. Like that's part of like she had to know that going in, but she's not gonna lose.
I
for
think
a while.
WWE will have a better effect on her than UFC did because not only did she lose in the UFC and she lost that notoriety, she got her ass beat. Like there was a physical beating that came along with the mental one. She's gonna know before she goes into a match that she's losing it.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, like, she was a real wrestling fan, kind of like me. She loved wrestling her whole life. She likes watching it.
Yeah.
And you could tell, and I think that's one of the things that I think why she's, you're right, Kevin. She trains her ass off whenever she does. I think she's just an athlete, and whatever she's going to do, she's going to train to do it right. But also, like, you could tell she has passion for it because, like, just the way she told the story with, like, stupid things like her facial expressions and just timing and everything, like, like I said, I thought they were just going to kind of let her do a couple of moves her first match and just have Kurt Angle and Triple H do most of the work. But she, like, did most of that match. I mean, and to see, like, her kind of power, she had Triple H, who probably is close to 300 pounds of muscle, up on her shoulders before Samoan dropping his ass. Like, she's no joke. Like, but I was excited. I think it's going to be fun to watch her over the next several years come up. And now Brock Lesnar re-signed.
And see, that's
coming, yep.
Yeah, I mean, he just re-signed, but Dana White trying to cover up for his mistake he made, last weekend or the week before when he sat there and said that Brock signed. He sat there and was like, oh, well, he's always been under contract. We're just trying to get him a match now.
Well, everything.
So he's trying to...
Yeah. Everything I read says that Lesnar, basically at WrestleMania, he was supposed to lose. But the fans weren't having it because everybody hates Roman Reigns. And so word is Vince McMahon called an audible so that Brock would win. And he signed a one-match deal with WWE. That's why WWE didn't put the terms out. That basically it's just a 1 or 2 match deal. So Roman Reigns, because they got a big thing going on in over in oh, it's gonna sound really.
Hey, real quick, who called that?
Called what?
Vince McMahon doing that. Who called that?
Did you call it?
Yeah,
I called that last week.
Well, see, that's why you're on the show. We need your talent.
Nostradamus, bitches.
And see, the thing about that, you calling it was right, but if you would think about it, he's still got to serve a 3-month or a 6-month suspension. I can't remember what it is for him being steroid out of his mind when he fought Mark Hunt the other year. So it's like, why doesn't he just sit there as long as, and that's the bad thing because you can't say he's guaranteed not to get hurt, but he's got to re-enter into the USADA program anyways. So he'll have to serve a suspension, get on the clean test and all that stuff. So, I mean, he's got at least whatever the suspension is plus 3 months. So it's like at least during his suspension, he could still do WWE because he's not technically allowed to train or fight during his suspension. So
here's my thing. You can say what you want about the WWE as far as the product that or the audience that it attracts. Maybe I don't know. You could talk all the crap that you want. It doesn't really matter. The product that they put on television is never bad. Vince McMahon is a genius when it comes to that. And the other side of it is, look how long, guys, as long as you're not roided out of your brain or not doing coke every night, look how long your career can actually last in the WWE. Triple H is a perfect example. The Undertaker, that dude is in his 50s. 52. I don't know exactly how old he is, but dude's in his 50s.
52.
Well, Triple H was roided out of his mind. But, yeah.
Was. Yeah, I mean, Brock's career could last so much longer in the WWE where he could do one more match in the UFC and be done.
And that's the thing. They were talking about when he comes back, they asked a question about him fighting the winner of the Stipe DC fight in July. And McMahon's like, yeah, he's like, it's a possibility. And it's like, really? How is that a possibility? It's like his last fight last year, he won, but ended up losing by no contest because he failed his drug test. And then 7 years before that, when he had his last 2 fights, he lost. And one of them he lost because he got punched in the stomach. It's like, how can you give him a title shot right off the bat? It's like, I understand it's money. He brings pay-per-view buys.
That's what it is.
Fights. But it's like, there's so many other people that deserve a title shot. It's like, why would you give him a title shot? It's like people complain now enough that they skip people in the rankings. And it's like the UFC started these rankings, and it's like, why even start rankings whenever you're like, well, number 1 is the number 1 contender, but we're going to give number 7 the title shot. Like, it makes...
That's the part that's the problem that I have with the UFC is you have a format, stick to it. Boxing has a format, they stick to it. Now, you know, what's his name? Money Mayweather can make whatever match he wants, but there's a format and they stick to it. Dana White does whatever the hell he wants, right? Yeah. At least the WWE is upfront with the fact that they do whatever the hell they want. They don't try and sit here and say that they've got these ranked wrestlers. No, they choose who wrestles the other based solely on what the fans want to see and what's good for the product. Dana White is lying to everybody. No, we have this ranking, we have this, but I'm going to do whatever matchup sells anyway.
See, and I think that's a lot, like, he's got the WWE thing going for him because it's like, this is the fight that the fans want to see, and then the money aspect behind it, because ever since they sold the other year for $4 billion, it's when it kind of, like, it was already heading that way, but now we see a lot more of those big super fights because it's going to bring them big money in, and it just seems like they want to make their money back because $4 billion in, you know, pocket change. So it's like, I understand it, but yeah, it sucks when you sit there and, like, certain people get rematches if they lose their belt, and other people are like, no, they weren't that good of a champ, so we'll skip. So it's like, I think they should definitely make there should be some kind of thing about rematches for title shots. Like, either it's got to be the same way all across the board is what I'm thinking, but they don't do that. This is going to
sound silly.
Just make a rule and stick to it.
Why can't you just be like, it's going to be silly, I don't know, but why don't you just be like the WWE and the champ automatically gets a rematch?
Because I understand why, because sometimes the champ is one of those, he's just a boring champ. And I mean, that's the biggest reason. And when he finally loses, you don't want to take a chance of getting the title back and having another string of bad title fights. Because like Tyron Woodley, if he ever when he loses that title, he's not getting a rematch because his fights are so boring. Like
that's not really fair to him.
Huh?
That's not fair to him. Like because like you're boring, but you could still beat ass. What's that matter?
I mean, because it's like the last fight was that he took on Damian Maia, and it was 5 rounds, and it was so bad and boring because Woodley can wrestle, but he got the power, so he likes to stand and punch. Well, Maia is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu like god, basically. And so all he was doing was trying to take down Woodley, and Woodley stopped him like 21 times, which was a record, and only threw like a handful of punches in each round. So he won because he did some damage, but it was just it was booing nonstop. So it's a 25-minute fight, and you had probably 23 straight minutes of people just booing because they just stood there.
But as a promoter, you could sell that as like, here's the thing: booing or cheering, people are interacting, and now people are probably going to watch his fights just to finally pray that he finally gets his ass beat.
Oh yeah, he's definitely got the Mayweather effect. I mean, so many people, like, you got your people that legit like Mayweather, but a lot of people that buy those pay-per-views, you want to see Mayweather lose. I mean, that's why I think he sells so much.
No, I don't disagree. Like, it's all about, I think Vince McMahon has it set up perfectly. Like, a good heel, right? A good bad guy, you want to see him get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon has entertainment by the balls, and he knows it.
So if, like, I think some of these other sports don't realize how, like, that they have these natural heels, and I'm using that, terminology, but
yeah,
that, like you say, they're boring, and like Mayweather, right, play defense most of the time. But that's what makes people want to order their fights, in my opinion, and go, God, this is going to be the time. This is going to be the time this guy gets his ass beat.
Well, I mean, it even played in for Ronda there at the end of her last 2 fights because so many people were so tired of the way she acted when she won that people wanted her to lose. Because, I mean, the Holly Holm loss, that was a crazy upset because the odds were ridiculous. But so many people were hoping for it because they just wanted Ronda to lose. And then she lost, and then everybody was happy. And then it came out that she wanted to kill herself. So then everyone's like, oh, I feel bad. But then as soon as she got back in the ring against Amanda Nunes, everyone's like, I want to see what she can do. And, Nunes beat her in like 50 seconds and beat her like...
Part of my problem with the way Ronda's career ended is that she tried to change her game for those 2 matches, and it didn't work for her. If she would have just stuck to the things that she had been doing and winning with up to that point, she might still be in the UFC. But she wanted to change her game and show everybody that she could do something that they say she couldn't, and that was dumb on her part.
It was, but the bad part about it was the handful of fights before that, because it was always her stand-up was not that good. And that's when everyone's complaining. Well, she ended up taking on, I know, Beth Correa, however you say her name. There was 1 or 2 other ones where she actually stood up and knocked them out. But it was just like the armbar thing. She is beating people with an armbar because she is, awesome at jiu-jitsu, and she's taking on people that might be decent on the ground, but nowhere close as good as she is. So then it's like when she started punching, she's not that good, but she's beating people with it that aren't any better than her at the stand-up game. So when she was on like Holly Holm, Holly Holm was a boxing champ, a kickboxing champ, and she had good ground game. So it's like, the
worst thing Ronda could have done is what she did, is try to go toe-to-toe with a boxer.
Yes.
She's strong. She just doesn't know how to place her punches.
Yeah, and then the same thing with Nunes. Like, she should have sat there and shot on her right off the get-go and took her to the ground, because Nunes is not that good on the ground. Like, she's decent, but she's nowhere close. Where, like I said, most female fighters then were not that anywhere close to being as good as Ronda was.
So let's just assume that the Holly Holm fight still goes the way that it does, and she gets her ass beat, right? If Ronda would have returned to her old form against Nunes and just in the first 30 seconds took her down, got her an armbar, and won, we would have said she's back.
Yeah. Oh, they would have, without a doubt. But the bad thing is she came back with that attitude and everything, and I just think so many people were just so tired of that attitude, because it's like
that's what I liked.
You never seem grateful for winning. I mean, I love trash talking, but it's just like, come on. It's like she would talk trash, and then as soon as someone say something to her, she got all upset. So it's like, you're gonna dish it out. It's like, just take it.
Take it. All right, guys. I hate to cut this short, but we're gonna.
No, I gotta go too.
We gotta get ready to close up. I got tutoring. Dan's gonna help me with my assignment, or I'm gonna fail out of school and be a loser, and I don't want to do that. Do you guys got anything before we close up? I do have a quick. Actually, first off, do you guys have anything before we finish up for this week?
Nah, not that I can think of.
Gary?
Check me out on YouTube, Original Shonuff. Search it. Also, XOGX Shonuff on Twitter and Instagram.
You need to get your computer fixed so you can, A, have your computer for the show, B, you can talk on that shit. Because I like when people... I hate that I actually enjoy watching some of the stuff that Trevor watches, because those guys talk...
That esports stuff has got me sucked in, man. I'm with you.
It's fun. Also, do you guys have, like, any window tomorrow for, like, say, 20, 25 minutes? I want to do a call, not like a show, just a call with the guys for the draft next week to kind of line that out so it's not a complete shit show. Are you guys available at all tomorrow? If not, it's fine. I'll work around you, but I'm just trying to keep everybody involved.
Listen, man, just keep me in the loop. Tomorrow's a busy day. It's Jamie's birthday. I got a coach's meeting. I also got to go into work for a little bit.
No, you're good. That's why I wanted to ask beforehand.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I got some stuff going on early, so maybe in the evening.
Yeah, this will be like probably around this time tomorrow, so it'll be later. It won't be during.
That might not be bad. So just text me first.
Okay, I'll shoot you guys both a text tomorrow. I'll let you know. But I just want to I don't want it to be a shit show. I think it'd be fun, but I want it somewhat organized, and having a handful of people trying to organize that on the spot, as you could imagine, could be a train wreck. So.
Okay.
That's all I got. I'm going to go learn how to be awesome. Thank you guys. Again, I will hopefully see you next week unless I die, which I hope I don't do that because that would suck. I am supposed to go see Hamilton Sunday. I'm a little stoked about that. If I could fit in the seats, that's always a big problem.
So, I tried getting tickets today.
Oh, Kim got them for my birthday. She is the best wife ever.
Matt, just so you know, if you died, I'd come to Utah for your funeral, brother.
Yes, that's 2 people.
I'd be there.
You would. I'm not sure Miranda would. I think that'd be Miranda's opportunity to get back at me. Like, this is it. I told you I'd get you, you bastard. All right, guys. I'll see you next week, guys.
All right, take it easy.
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Later, guys.
Restream. We're going to stop you.